if I can do these things and be successful, but help other people become successful beyond anything they were going to accomplish on their own, then that's a win-win to me. So in the scenario with this, what we're getting ready to do is going to more than double this person's what they've ever made.
Right. Right.
By being part of the profit share. And it's like, it's their baby. They'll treat it like their own in that regard. So I'm usually, and I explained that right up front, and if there's room to grow in the future, usually it's such a life-changing thing right off the bat, even at 10 to 15%, it's never been an issue.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Shane Torres became an agent in 2009 and joined the RE/MAX Concepts family. As his business began to flourish, he opened an office in Polk City and began adding office staff. In 2013, he saw an opportunity to become a mentor and became a broker and an owner, and also owns several other businesses as well. Shane, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, the pleasure's mine. There's 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show. In 90 seconds or less, can you tell me, where did you start, where are you now, and how did you get there?
Oh, where did I start? I started as a builder. Currently today, I am on multiple brokerages and other businesses affiliated with that and investing as well. Oh, how did I get there? I just outworked everybody.
I love that. That's a very succinct answer. Well, tell me so outside of the RE/MAX, residential side of things, what are the other businesses you have that kind of help augment that business?
Yeah, so we have an insurance company, a settlement company, a property management company. Obviously, we have a commercial division. I now do commercial development and financially back some builders. So I have, that helps create inventory, and it's sidebar. It's an investing tool. So they're all somewhat affiliated, but they all stand on their own.
Right. Well, that's really, really intriguing. And I think that's everyone's goal, I think, is to have multiple businesses and multiple sources of income. I mean, was that your initial goal setting out, was saying, all right, I'm just going to build all these so they all continue to produce revenue for me?
Honestly, my goal setting out was just to survive. But as opportunities have presented themselves, and I've just looked at them and said, does it make sense? And can it someday stand on its own? And if so, then we do it, knowing that they all kind of work together. So it is now, yes, that is my goal, and how I move forward is, how does it fit into our current structure?
What did opportunity look like when it presented itself to grow?
Someone mentioning it could be a casual conversation of acquiring an office or another business or starting another business. And I look at it, can it have a good revenue? What's it going to cost to operate it? Any business that I have, someone else runs it. We pay them a very nice salary plus some incentive to make sure that we don't have headaches. And after all that's said and done, is there a good return there? And if so, then we'll do it.
Yeah, that's really intriguing. I mean, one of the things that, as you grow, especially a new business, is that you may not have your process maps done. You may not have all of that stuff dialed in because it's a new line of business. How do you start a new line of business without adding to your personal administrative burden?
Prime example, I'm getting ready to build a daycare. So we'll own and operate a daycare. I don't know anything about operating a daycare. So what I did in that scenario, I started, I know someone who's got a background in that. And so I approached them and asked them if they'd want to run it. And if so, when it comes time, obviously I put up the initial investment to get the business going, but the company at that point will pay them a good salary, but you had a piece of the profit to treat it like their own. So it's worked out really well. I mean, that process started 2 years ago as a joke. Someone jokingly said you should build a daycare, and here we are.
That's really, really intriguing. When you're having those conversations, obviously you've done an initial vet on the person themselves, so maybe you already know them, but how do you make sure you structure it? I know you said you give them a really nice salary plus a profit incentive, but how do you structure it, such that you aren't giving away too much of the deal too early or too fast, or such that it keeps people motivated?
It's never that much of it could be anywhere from 2% to 10%. Meaning I could still control 90% of it. I've never given up more than 60 to 70%. Or I mean 30 to 40%. I retain 60 to 70%.
Right.
So yeah, and in a lot of the cases, so my goal has been, if I can do these things and be successful, but help other people become successful beyond anything they were going to accomplish on their own, then that's a win-win to me. So in the scenario with this, what we're getting ready to do is going to more than double this person's what they've ever made.
Right. Right.
By being part of the profit share. And it's like, it's their baby. They'll treat it like their own in that regard. So I'm usually, and I explained that right up front, and if there's room to grow in the future, usually it's such a life-changing thing right off the bat, even at 10 to 15%, it's never been an issue.
Right. That's really intriguing. Tell me about your commercial lines of business. I know daycare probably falls in the commercial line of things, but tell me about your commercial, what you guys are building, developing, what you see in the future, and why.
Yep. So right now my focus has been like retail. A lot of it started with just places I wanted to put real estate offices. There was nothing there, so we would build and develop our own buildings. But while doing so, I'm like, well, why not just make it bigger and lease it out to other people as well? So I did my biggest one was obviously was a couple of years ago, started in 2019, went through 2020, which it still worked out really great. And my office filled half of that building, but I decided to, once I got it completely full, I would list it at a crazy price. And I did, and I sold it. So then I was able, I'm able to parlay that into other things. So currently I'm looking at acquiring a 29,000 square foot building that we currently lease and completely rehabbing that for our main office. I'm looking at a strip center right behind the building here that I'm sitting in. For that one will house, the anchors will be a restaurant and a coffee shop, which I will also be a part of the ownership of those two entities. The daycare. And then the biggest one I'm working on is on a property that's south of here. That will be a 15,000 square foot new build. That is going to be a restaurant, bar, event center, real estate office, all in one. I got the idea from an office in Scottsdale that's done something similar. But what I decided is, because we're also doing a coffee shop / real estate office, anything we do office wise going forward will be dual purposed, meaning not necessarily specifically real estate. So the first example would be the coffee shop and real estate office. That hadn't been done before. They will be open to the public. They will be able to have a membership to it. And then the same thing with this new one. It's more than dual purpose because it's an event center, restaurant, and real estate office all in one that'll be separated with glass walls, and those doors will be able to open up and basically have seating for a bigger event or for the restaurant or whatever it may be. And that's in a development. I don't know if you've heard of them or not. They're called AgriHoods. So basically, there's only a couple of them in the country. It's basically a residential development in the middle of a working farm. So it's the only one in the Midwest. The other ones I think are out in Colorado and stuff like that. So very unique concept. It's like a 20-year project. We've got that land that we're working on designs and performas and things like that right now. So that will be the big one coming up. And then just constantly looking at what other projects are out there. I had 44 acres tied up to do some commercial and residential development, ran into some bad soil, so I changed my mind. Trying to think if I'm missing anything. Oh, revitalizing a church here in town. That's for my wife's business. That'll be a youth center, game lounge, community room, but not like your normal community room. It'd be like an inside of a house. So I think that's all for this year. I think that's all for this year.
I think you got your hands full. I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of moving pieces. If someone wanted to emulate what you do, and I know we touched on this a little bit,
Yeah.
what are some tips or what are some things you would say to them? You said, hey, you want to go out and have your hands in a dozen different things without. Well, I guess you and I are both bald, so you can't
Yeah.
say without going bald.
Right.
But without the proverbial going bald, how what would you say to them?
I just align myself with people who have done it before and willing to give advice along the way. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. Anything I've done, I've got a good team of people around me, and I just rely on them to make sure that I'm making smart decisions.
How do you enforce or how do you control? That's the right word. Quality control. How do you manage? There you go. How do you manage quality control?
Um, I think it starts with that first key person you put in place to oversee everybody else. We've been fortunate and blessed in all of our entities that we've got a really good top level person that is all about quality control, just as we are. And they're able to, reflect that down to the others that they oversee.
Talk to me about funding. Is this something where you are at the point where everything is self-funded? Do you bring in outside
Some
investors?
some of it. To be completely honest, I during in 2009 I lost everything, and had to start over. So I don't like to completely self fund, but some of them are self funded if I know I'm gonna get it back quickly. I have partnerships with a couple people. When I first got started, did my first project ever. I could have done it on my own. I didn't want to. That one had 4 or 5 partners in it. I got to the point now. I don't want any more than one. I do some Class B shares, and we'll sell those for a return. Investors. And that's a valid point. It's been brought up a few times, so I think we're going to start a syndication group for our brokerage and let our agents start to invest in that. And that way, they might not have the risk tolerance, but they maybe want to start building that generational wealth, and we can help them with that. So I do a combination of investors, myself, and banks,
Right. Yeah, that's interesting when it comes to
and communities.
communities.
The cities. I mean, I don't know what it's like there, but around here, like this, the daycare, the city gave me a very nice tax rebate for up to 15 years. That's the equivalent of about $1.5 million. I know of another development that just got announced. The city's kicking in $3 million to get that deal done. So that's what I'm referring to about cities and municipalities.
How do you discover those or the city's willingness to participate on
Um,
projects?
it's usually the level of need of the project going into the community. No, so my daycare, for example, there are no daycares in that community. There's
Wow.
been like 400 houses built in the last few years. There's another 200 coming. It's a dire need over there.
Right.
So what started as a joke, and I jokingly said it, they're like, come talk to us, tell us what it would take. I told them, and a year later, it came to fruition. So it's what's it gonna, they have to look at what it's gonna do for them as well. And as long
Right.
as you can show the value to that community, more often than not, they'll do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Huh. Very, very cool. I love that. And I guess when it comes to I want to explore this idea of setting up a fund
Yep.
for your agents to invest in. Because one of the
Yep.
things that I have seen, and I'm sure anybody listening to this show can understand, is that most real estate agents have no idea how to invest in real estate. How are you overcoming that with the people inside of your organization? I know this is one of the methods, but what's that kind of full picture look like?
It's actually one of the things we talk about and train on regularly. So that's one of the other things. We have our own real estate school as well. So it's one of the classes that we have is how to create that what we call mailbox money, or wake up money, or whatever. And a lot of them, they know how to dabble in the residential side of stuff. They can buy a rental here or there, but they don't know the scope of this type of stuff and these larger deals. So as these questions have come up more and more, I decided to put it out there and like, hey, who would be interested in something like this? of our 310 agents, over about 115 said yes, they want more info. So that's a lot that could happen. You start looking at that kind of a pool of people. You go buy, multi-unit apartment building, or, apartment complexes. And I mean, the sky's the limit, really. And I'm actually, I think, here at the end of the month, I have a class, not a class, just a presentation. I'm gonna go through and show them and explain how it all works, and educate them on, the risks and the rewards of what it would take to get into it, minimums, things like that.
That is absolutely awesome. Good. I mean, that's, again, that's, I got my license here in Tennessee. I don't do anything really with it on the residential side. Used to years ago, but certainly that was a need that I saw in that space. Was like,
Right.
It's amazing how little education exists around how to invest in real estate on the residential side and on the commercial side. I mean, the commercial side is just a complete mystery to most real estate agents. So that's absolutely fantastic. I love what you're doing there for the people on your team, and I love what you're doing there in Des Moines and in Iowa. So keep up the good work. Thank you for coming on today.
Well, thanks for having me.
If our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about you, what is the best way to do that?
They could just contact me. I'm on social media, or email Shane Torres at remax.net.
Perfect. Shane, thank you for your time. I do appreciate it.
No, thank you.